intro for what kind of ended up turning into a several week-long reading vlog. In this video, we are primarily reading from two different romance series. The first one is getting up to date with all of the books in Katie Roberts' Dark Olympus series. This is a series of smutty Greek mythology retellings in a modern setting, and I use the term retellings very loosely, since most of these divulge pretty heavily from their original myths, and are more so about using the characters and their archetypes in this setting. I read two of the main books in this series and then the one novella. So the first one I read was Wicked Beauty, which is an MMF romance following Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen. Achilles and Patroclus are already a couple, and then they meet Helen through this tournament that's going on. And then I read Stoneheart, which is an FF novella that's about Medusa and Calypso. And lastly in that series, I read the most recent release, which is Radiant Sin, which is a office romance following Apollo and Cassandra. The other series that I made a lot of progress in was I read the fourth volume of The Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation by MXTX. And in this vlog, I also unboxed the special edition that I got for the fifth volume of the series. And I'm currently reading this now, so I'm not going to give my full review of it here. So that is what we're going to be tackling in this reading vlog. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Welcome to the start of this reading vlog. One series that I've been starting to read through has been Katie Roberts' Dark Olympus series. In March, I read Neon Gods, and I thought it was okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it, considering I didn't have the best experience reading a different straight romance in the past. Katie Roberts has a very easily digestible and almost bingeable writing style, where you get really easily drawn in to the story. At the same time, I wasn't obsessed with the couple enough to give it that high of a rating. But then I recently had back-to-back been reading Electric Idol and Wicked Beauty. Electric Idol, I was even more pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. I think I definitely enjoyed the relationship dynamic a lot more there than I did in Neon Gods. But now I'm currently 40 to 50% of the way through Wicked Beauty, which is the third book in the series. I figured if there was anyone that I was going to like the most out of all of them, it was going to be this one, because it is a Iliad retelling that focuses on the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus. But it's actually an MMF romance, so it also is those two plus Helen. And overall, I have been really clamoring to read more poly romances. But I feel like because I just naturally have a lot more of a connection to these character archetypes from other Iliad retellings, that I'm taking this one a lot more seriously, and it's kind of making me a little stressed out. I just feel like the other ones were complete fluff, and I wasn't super attached to the characters, so I didn't really care when terrible things were happening. But this one, I'm actually a little bit more invested in it, and it's kind of making me not like it as much, if that makes any sense. I think a little bit is just this deep emotional attachment that I have to Achilles and Patroclus romance in other series that's kind of bleeding into this one and making me just feel a little heartbroken and sad for them. But it is really pulling me back into that desire to read more Iliad retellings. I'm seriously oh, should I just go reread Song of Achilles? I'm seriously considering just going back and reading through some of my favorite scenes, because it has been a little bit over a year, I think, since I read that book for the first time. I think the other factors, the first two are retellings that focus on the relationship between two gods, whereas obviously a lot of the Iliad is mostly about the human characters. And I feel just overall I've learned that I do prefer mythology retellings that focus on humans interacting with the Greek gods versus inter-god relationships, if that makes any sense. I think just adds more interesting dimension with their relationships. Although, of course, in the Dark Olympus series, they're pretty much all humans. It's mostly just using the character archetypes in a modern AU setting. So very much not a traditional retelling in any sense. Very much just alternate universe, using the characters in a new story. But yeah, that's my main reading update for so far. I will give you updates as I finish things and start new books for the rest of this vlog. Here's my Petco haul for George. I got him some more treats and a filter for his fountain. And I also got him this mat for his fountain because he splashes water literally everywhere. and I'm trying to cut down on that at least a little bit and not destroy my apartment's hardwood floors. So hopefully this will work and he won't be like annoyed by having to step on the silicone mat. Hello everyone, so it's been a couple days and I wanted to give you another reading update. So since I last talked to you, I have now finished Wicked Beauty. My final rating for this book is going to be a 4 stars. I definitely prefer the first half of the book, which was the more emotional section for me. The second half, the conflict kind of switched to be a more external one that I wasn't as emotionally committed to, whereas the first half was more so setting up the dynamics between Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen, and that was the part I was quite interested in, and also I think had more of the emotional weight in the story. I've been really enjoying reading all of the Dark Olympus books, and my hold of the library for the next book, Radiant Sin, is not out yet, but they did have the prequel book, Stone Heart, that was available. This is a 1.5 short novella that's like under 100 pages that is also, I think, the only FF romance in this series. I started this yesterday and I'm only like 20 pages in, which I guess is like a fourth of the way through, but at the same time I feel like I haven't gotten too much of the characters enough to really comment on it. I think I'm literally about to go into the main smut scene that's going to be in the book, so I'll report back on if I actually enjoy it this time, considering in the past I've talked about how my track record with FF smut scenes has not been great. And yeah, like I said, overall, I've just been really enjoying reading a lot of these Dark Olympus books. Katie Robert has a very easily digestible writing style that makes these books really good to binge. And I don't know if it's just Katie Robert fans or just like this genre fans in general, but I have quite a few like acquaintances and friends that are reading this series as well, and they've all been so nice and super like enthusiastic about it. And it just like warms my heart that so many people are into this genre and this series are such nice people, and it makes me excited to like get more into Katie Roberts fandom, if that makes any sense. Moving away from the Western smut books that I've been reading, I also started and I'm now a little under halfway through the 4th volume of The Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation by MXTX. I've talked about this many times on my channel already. This is a Chinese boys love series that follows the main character Wei Wuxian, who was the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. He then dies and then is reincarnated in the body of this random guy who was planning on laying low, but then ends up running into a man from his past life who is Lan Wangji, who in Wei Wuxian's perspective had a very tumultuous relationship with him, but in reality Lan Wangji was very much in love with Wei Wuxian and just like never voiced his feelings. So now they're kind of in this awkward situation of them working together to solve this big mystery that's plaguing the cultivation world. If you hear lots of jumping right now, my neighbor is working out above me, but I'm just gonna keep powering through it. Apologies for any weird bumps that you hear in this segment. Like I said, I'm 150 pages in, which means I just finished chapter 18, which was the massacre at the Nightless City, for those that know the overarching plot of this book. And so far this book has mostly been focusing on the past timeline and kind of seeing how Wei Wuxian, when he was the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, all the stuff that led to his downfall. It started out as being very much the system stacked against him, with people just kind of blaming him for different things happening. But it's slowly become more his own hubris that has led to him thinking he can control situations that he can't, and things just eventually falling apart around him. So far, this book has not had a ton of romance focus between Wuxian and Wangji, but after everything that just happened in the last chapter, I think there's about to be a lot of drama involving Zhang Chang, who is my other favorite character. I really love the brotherly relationship that he has with Wei Wuxian, and things are about to absolutely fall apart, so I'm excited to see that happen. Excited makes it sound like I want it to happen. I am very much not ready for the emotional drain it's going to happen, but at the same time I feel like I have to just like rip off that band-aid and, you know, fully give myself over to the story and see what happens next. And as a little treat, we're now going to do a unboxing of the special edition of the 5th volume of Modazushi, which just came out today. This shipped, I think, early last week, and it came technically last night, but I wanted to open it on camera, so I'm doing that now. So let's go ahead and crack into this bad boy. So far I have not seen any of the spoilers, except I might know what one of the posters looks like. As of me recording this on May 3rd, this is still in stock at Right Stuff, but they said it's going to be a single run limited edition, So if you haven't gotten it yet, I would check and make sure you can. Although there's still going to be a standard edition as well as a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition that has a little bit of extra bonus content, which I'm actually not sure if it's going to be in this version as well. I guess we'll see. But even if you miss out on this special edition, there's obviously other versions for you to still get. I don't think there's a way I can do this without stabbing myself. One thing that's nice about Bright Stuff is they don't use any plastic packaging in their, like, protective stuff now. It's all paper. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's all, like, wrapped up in here with some plastic wrap, and then there's, like, all the special edition stuff on the back here. I saw this cover design, and it's so beautiful. Them just laying in the field, and then Wanji's headband is wrapped around his hand. Oh, it's so cute. I'm gonna work on cutting this open now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what I saw online is not a spoiler for the poster. It's actually the design of the little, like, notebook that came with it. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay, this is the design of the notebook. So on the front is a art of Wanji, and then there's, like, their past selves over there. And then on the back is Wuxian, and then the same thing. So then when you fold it out, it's this art of them. It's a little bit hard to see with the way that it's bound, so I'll put a photo up here of what the original art actually looks like. And the rest of the stuff is just shoved into the back of the book over here. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, so the first thing is a bookmark. So on the front is Wuxian on this side, and then Wanji on the other side. And then there's a set of postcards, and each of these have the art that was on each of the individual books. They're out of order, but this is 1, this is 3, 4, 5, and 2. And on the back of these is adorable art of bunnies, because bunnies are, like, kind of the mascot character, I guess, for Modazushi. Usually people draw a black rabbit that symbolizes Wei Wuxian and a white rabbit that symbolizes Wanji. They do play a minor role in the book, but I feel like they've had an extended, like, presence in the live-action adaptation. But here's some of the bunnies. They're so cute. And there's different ones on each of the cards. This one's smooching. Oh, that's adorable. Yes. And then we have the sticker set. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Oh my gosh, and there's so mning different characters on this one. So you get a lot of different characters. We have Zhang Chang up here. I think this is Jingling. I can't tell from just showing the camera to you. Wenning, obviously Wuxian and Wanji. I guess this is Jichen. There's the bunnies, and this is Zhueyang, I think. And there's also the alcohol and some of their swords. And then we have the 2 mini posters that it came with. So I have not seen these yet, so let's have a live reaction together. Oh, it folds out 4 ways. Oh! Oh my god! So, oh my gosh, this is so cute! They look so cute! I wonder if this is an insert art in one of the books. I haven't even looked at it. And then there's this one. Oh, this is very cute. I don't think this is insert art in any of the books, so this is just original for the special edition. Ah, they're so cute. I have to find a place to at least put one of these up. And I can confirm now that I'm holding the book that this one does not have the special comic that's at the end of the Barnes & Noble special edition. So if you really wanted, like, everything that came out in the English release, you would have to buy both the special edition and the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. This book is really chunky. It's a lot bigger than the other volumes, it feels like. Here's, like, a comparison between the thicknesses of these two. This one feels more like the size of the standard Tuha editions. They just have, like, been binding up more of the chapters in those. I also got a description of this wrong in a lot of the past videos that I've had. I thought this was just the short stories that came at the end of the main story, but this actually includes the ending and then all of the short stories. I don't know why they made the decision to switch it from how they did for Scum Villain, because in that one, obviously, it was the main 3 volumes of the story and then the short story collection. In this one, they decided to spread out the main story into one of the extra volumes. But regardless, I knew I was going to buy this anyway, just because I love the main story so much. I figured I'd like all the short stories, and the fact that I have to read this now to get the rest of the main story is just like a bonus. But yes, very happy with this, and I probably will honestly start it as soon as I finish the 4th volume. So that is a look at my haul, and I will see you in the next update. So it's been a couple days now and I thought I would do a update on my reading progress. So the first thing I ended up finishing was Stoneheart, and honestly I think I'm going to give this like a 2.5 stars. It wasn't bad, but it like was almost empty feeling. I never thought I would need a smut book to be longer, but it like just like needed more of everything to work and make sense overall. I just felt like it was so unbelievable how in under 24 hours the main couple went from enemies, like literally having an assassination attempt being done, to deciding they were going to date. I feel like I said this before in a different context, but I know lesbians are known to get together very quickly, but this was just a little bit too fast in my opinion. So yeah, that was a little disappointing, but at the same time, it's just a novella, and overall I'm enjoying the series, so I don't think it's that much of a letdown. On the other end of the spectrum, I also finished the 4th volume of Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation, and I really enjoyed this. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to give this a 4.5 or a 5 star. I think I want to finish the series with the last book and kind of see how my feelings overall land before I decide on where I'm going to rate this one. Like I think I mentioned before, I love all of the stuff with the past timeline, kind of going into Wei Wuxian's fall from grace. I think it's really interesting how his savory complex turns into hubris, which then leads to his downfall and kind of like the complete shattering of all his relationships. But then it also makes his relationship with Lan Wangji even more special because he was the only one who still believed in him, and he's kind of on a mission to help Wei Wuxian have the second chance to rebuild his image. The ending with their first time together, like, yeah, it's not great. I feel like I don't really like the whole drinking dub-con plot that's going on, and honestly it's very unjustifiable in real life. But I think I said in a reaction to the second novel that I think it is serving a plot in the narrative, and at the point we are at right now, it's definitely acting like the third act conflict. I'm really hoping that between the end of the main story and then the short story collection, I can kind of better make sense of where their sexual chemistry is supposed to be at. I feel like compared with Scumville and Self-Setting System, I really like Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji as a couple. Whereas with Shen Qingqiu and Lu Binghe, I'm like, y'all need to go to couples therapy to make this work out. I feel like the relationship overall is better grounded for it to work out, so I'm just hoping that the rest of the series can kind of deliver and fix this one major flaw. A lot of people have said this is definitely one of MXTX's major flaws in her writing, and it's kind of interesting that she's moved away from having sexual content in her stories. I didn't realize this initially. I thought that all of her works had smut in them, but actually Heaven Official's Blessing is just boys love without any of the adult content. I think there's still things that are implied, but it's not actually in the text the same way it is for her other 2 stories. And from the reception of that series, I think a lot of people do think she's gotten better with time, and it seems like the awkwardness that's present in a lot of her sexual encounters, it was better off for her to just remove it entirely. I do want to eventually do a reading vlog reading Heaven Official's Blessing, so I guess you'll eventually see my thoughts on that series in that video. And my last reading development is that I did start Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. I wasn't planning on starting this super soon, but then my ebook hold came in, and I was like, okay, let's just keep this going. Her books are very bingeable, and I already read 2 others in this series, so I figured I'd just keep it going. This is a Apollo and Cassandra retelling that is told as a boss and employee relationship with fake dating. For this one, my friend who was really into the series was like, you will not be prepared for what happens, and honestly, I was so nervous. So far I am liking it. It actually is a lot more plot heavy than I think the other books have been. Like, I'm now at the 40% mark and we're like seconds away from starting the first smut scene, which I think may be later on compared to the other books in the series that I've read. However, I think my main complaint with this book is I don't really like Cassandra as the female lead. I think this is kind of a problem for all of Katie Roberts' leads, especially in this series, that they all tend to follow a very similar pattern. They all have kind of the same mental reasoning of, I can't trust anyone, the city is out to get you, and I need to create like this very curated public persona and hide my true feelings down below. And I just feel like it's getting a little too repetitive. This is kind of a critique for the entire series, but another thing that I don't like is it just feels like there's not a lot of support system outside of the relationships. I feel like in the first 2, Persephone and Psyche and their sisters are all like a unit, but it definitely falls along family lines. And the only time it seems like people have actual friends is the relationship between Eros and Helen, but at the same time I feel like that kind of gets a little retconned in the beginning of Wicked Beauty. I don't know, it's not like super pressing, but at the same time, like maybe the next smutty romance series I get into, I want it to be more about a group of friends and then like each book is about a different member of the friend group. I know that format is really popular in a lot of contemporary romance books, but if you have any of that type of book, but instead it's a fantasy romance, let a bitch know because I'd love to check those out. Dark Olympus is probably one of the only contemporary romance series that I'm actually interested in, because it also has that Greek mythology retelling aspect to it, so there's something else there besides it being just another basic contemporary romance. That is going to be it for my reading update for now. I think I'm going to end this vlog when I finish Radiant Sin, which probably will happen in the next couple days. So the next update from me will probably be my last for this video. So it's once again been a couple days and I finally finished Radiant Sin, so I wanted to give my ending thoughts on it here. I think I did like it, and I think it's going to be a 3.5 star. I actually liked having more plot now than just the smut scenes, and I think that's what made it be a little bit more enjoyable for me than Neon Gods, which I gave 3 stars. I also felt that the relationship of Apollo and Cassandra was more grounded because of them having their backstory of having known each other for 5 years before the start of the book. So their eventual confession and romance just felt a little bit more believable. I didn't realize actually going into this that the 5th book in the series is not out yet. It doesn't come out until August, so I will have to pause this series for a little bit until that one comes out. I also have now started the 5th and final volume of Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation. I think based on the plot and everything that's been going on in this volume with the final chapters, I am going to give the 4th volume 5 stars. And then the 5th volume is probably going to end up being a 4.5 stars. There's just a couple things in this that plot-wise I feel are getting rushed through a little too quickly without enough explanation. And I guess I just wanted a little bit more payoff for like the final confrontation. At the same time, I feel like I'm really enjoying the relationship of Wushan and Wanji in this one. I feel like a lot of the awkwardness that was present at the end of this volume has now dissipated, and their actual like first time scene is really cute and funny. So I'm really excited to finish this and then start the rest of these short stories. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I feel like this reading vlog was a little bit more chaotic than some of the other ones I've done in the past. So thank you for watching all the way to the end if you made it this far. Please consider liking this video or subscribing if you aren't already. Consider also following me on the Storygraph to see all my reading updates in real time. And that is going to be it for me today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!